Hello, this is your teacher Manish, and in continuation with our Java playlist, we have very recently seen what interfaces are, what are the abstract classes. Today we are going to learn a new topic, which is nested classes. Okay, so we have seen nested ifs, right? If then else, right? So similarly, let us see what nested classes are. Okay, so nested word means that something is inside the other, right? So if there is one class inside another class, the class which is inside becomes a nested class, and it's called as inner class. Say for example, I have a class and the name of that class is say outer, right? And if I have a class another class declared inside, okay, the outer class, name of this class is inner, then this class becomes a nested class, right? So very important, right? Now suppose if I have to create an object of type this class type, okay, so if from some other implementation class, say for example implementation class, okay, I am creating an object of this type of class, then remember one thing, first I need to create an object of outer class. Okay, so I will put it like this, right? I will put it outer. Name of my object is say for example my outer, okay, equals to new outer. Now when I am going to create an object of this type, I have to use the reference of this class. So how I will use it is outer dot inner, right? Okay, and then I am creating say an object called my inner equals to, now I have created this object, I need to use the reference this particular object when I am actually going to instantiate the inner class object. So it will be my outer dot, okay, and I am going to use new, right? And then I am going to call the constructor that is inner. So this is how I create. Now I can use my inner object to invoke methods which I have written here, okay, whereas if I have to invoke any of the method in this particular class, then I can use this my outer object. Okay, so this is basically what the inner classes are. I can have this inner class inside the method of the outer class. In that case, that inner class scope gets limited to that particular method only, and we have seen the local variables in the method have got limited scope pertaining to the method. Similarly, the scope of the class also gets limited. I can also have the static class. I can declare the inner class as static class. Okay, so basically inner class can be a normal inner class or static inner class. Okay, so these certain things are very important, okay, in this concept of inner class, and they can be well explained when we see a typical example. And there are also a number of aspects like accessor type. So if I have inner class as private class, or what happens if I have private instance variables of outer class, okay, so these examples can be well understood with or these concepts can be well understood with examples. Okay, so without wasting much of the time, I just thought I will introduce you to what inner class is, what nested class is, and how to instantiate an object of typical inner class. Okay, this instantiation is for non-static class, remember. Okay, non-static and non-private, which is public. If it is a private, this instantiation will not happen. Okay, because it's a new class here, in that case private class cannot be directly accessible from the external class, right? As far as default is concerned, it is fine, it's in same package, that is what we are assuming. Okay, so without wasting much of the time, we will go through all these examples by actually coding them, and that will perfectly make you understand what the nested classes are. Okay, so let's take a deep dive into code. So as I said, now in case of nested classes, we are going to see number of examples. Okay, so without wasting much of the time, let us quickly start coding, right? So I'm just developing one, basically a nested class. Name of that class is outer class, right? Now I will save this file as the Java source file, and obviously I will give the name as outer class dot java. If the file exists, I will overwrite it. Yeah, doesn't exist, so fine. And in that I am going to have one instance variable, okay, which I am initializing it to 10 within the same class. Now just look at the indentation as well. Within the outer class, I am declaring another class called inner class, right? And I'm having one instance variable within the inner class, and I am naming it as y and initializing it to 5, right? So this is what my nested class looks like. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new class, okay, in which I'm going to create an object of both outer class and inner class, right? So public class, and name of this class is, say for example, my main class, right? Now just going to save it as my main class dot java. So this is my Java source file, okay, and I'm going to save it as my main class, right? So here we go, and it's my implementation class. So I will quickly get into public static void main string args begin. Okay, now first, if I have to create an object of inner class, which is here, if I go and show you, this is my inner class. If I need to create an object of type inner class, to do that, first I will have to create a object of type outer class, right? So this is my outer class, so I will have to create a type object of type outer class. I'm naming it as my outer, okay, and then obviously going to instantiate it. My outer class default constructor would get class called. Okay, now when I'm going to create a object of type inner class, I will have to associate it, right, with the inner class. Okay, I cannot, with the outer class, I cannot create or I cannot declare object with only inner class, because these are nested classes, right? So I'm just going to create it, my inner, okay, and to instantiate it, look at how I am going to instantiate it. I need to use the object which I created okay, in my previous statement the object of outer class, okay, and along with the new keyword, and then going to call my inner class constructor, right? So this is how, so I created my outer as object of outer class and my inner as object of inner class. But just look at how I have created my inner. Okay, it is completely associated with the outer class. I cannot create inner class without actually without actually not linking it with outer class. Okay, and I'm just going to do system dot out dot println. Okay, and within this I'm going to invoke my what basically I'm going to add two instance variable. One is my inner and second is my inner dot y and my outer dot x. Okay, so let us quickly see what I have really done. This is x is an instance variable with outer class and y is the instance variable of inner class, and I am using that, right, and adding both of them, right? So this is how I have created or I would say implemented the nested class. Now let us quickly go and compile. I will have to first go and compile my outer class dot java, right, and then I will have to go and quickly compile my main class, my main class dot java. Okay, and I need to execute my main class and it should give me answer as 15 because I am actually adding in my system.out.println. I am actually adding my inner.y and my outer.x, so total is 15. Okay, so this is how I have implemented what I would say nested classes. Now let us see another example. It's a very interesting example. What would happen, let us see, if I am creating a new class, okay, again a nested class, okay, and let me give the name of this class as outer demo. Okay, I'm going to save it quickly as Java source file, right? So let me quickly save it as Java source file and then give the name as outer underscore demo, right? And here what I'm going to do is I'm going to have one instance variable. I have not initialized it to anything. Now the inner class which I am going to declare, okay, has actually access modifier as private, and this is very important. Okay, so let us see how can we create an object of inner class which is of type private. Okay, so let us quickly go and see and how we can actually invoke the method of private class. Before this we haven't seen the classes with access modifiers as private. Remember, access modifier of class can be private provided that class is inner class. Okay, if you keep access modifier of external class, okay, as or outer class as private, then you will have problems to implement it because it will not be accessible to anybody, right? So just printing here, this is my inner right class. right? Okay, so and then my end of inner class, and then actually what I'm going to have is I'm going to have another method which is a instance method, but this method is an instance method of my outer class, and in this method I'm going to create an object of inner class, right? So inner equals to new inner demo. This is the constructor which I have called, right? Now if you see, if I have to really invoke the method of private class is accessible to me only from the outer class, okay, and hence I have to create an object of private class within the instance method of outer class and then invoke the method of private class. Okay, so this is very, very important. Please do understand this. Okay, basically if you understand this particular implementation, you will actually understand what private class is. Okay, so basically let me explain quickly what I have done. I have a class called outer underscore demo, which is my outer class. It has got one single instance variable. Within that class I have one private class which is a nested class within outer demo, and it has got one instance method which actually does nothing but executes system.out.println. I have one more instance method, but it's a part of outer class. So if at all I have to invoke a method with an object of inner class, then I can only do it from the outer class, which is very, very important, because only outer class has got access to inner class. Okay, now let me show. I'm going to create another class, okay, which will be my implementation class, public class, my class. Okay, and let me quickly save it as save as, right, and I'm going to quickly select it as my Java source, right, and give the name as my class. Right, now within this class, of course it's my implementation class, so public static void main string args. I have begin, and then to access, okay, to access my inner class, I will have to first create an object of outer class. Okay, so I'm going to have an object called outer created, and I'm going to just instantiate that object, okay, underscore demo. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to invoke the instance method of my outer class, which is display inner, right? So it's just going to be outer dot display, right, display underscore inner. Let us quickly verify the name. Yeah, display underscore inner. I'm going to basically invoke this method, and what is this method going to do? This method is going to create an object of type inner class and then invoke the method of inner class. Okay, so very, very interesting. And if you really see what actually we have achieved some level of encapsulation here. We have already seen data encapsulation. If you have not seen my video, I suggest please go and revisit that. And this is another way of achieving further encapsulation, hiding data, by actually having the nested classes and the accessor type, accessor modifier of nested class to be private. So let me quickly compile this program. And okay, so I am going to compile. Something has gone wrong, let us quickly fix it. Okay, so outer demo.java 2. Okay, let me try this. Okay, so I have missed semicolon somewhere. This is my inner class system.out.println public void print begin line number 8 system.out.println. This is my inner class. Let me quickly unclose string literal. Yeah, so I have missed a quote here, right? So let me quickly save that and try it again. Yeah, so it's successful. Sometimes it is very tedious to remove the compilation problems, but I'm sure with practice you can overcome these things. Okay, the more you code, obviously the more you are going to be able to remove such problems. So we have missed a colon here, and actually the compiler gives you sufficient hints. Okay, so I'm going to compile it again, and let me quickly execute this program, my class. Okay, and look, so I managed to invoke the method, okay, which is of inner class. Okay, so just remember, to get into my inner class, which is of type private, I have to go through outer class. So first create an object of outer class and then invoke a method of outer class. Then within that method I have created an object of inner class and then invoke the method of inner class. So I cannot directly get into the inner class directly the way I have shown it in my previous example, where we have directly gone into the inner class by creating the object of inner class. Okay, and why it is not possible? Just because my inner class was declared as with private accessor type. Okay, so I think these two examples would have helped you to understand how inner classes are implemented. In the next video, I am going to give you a couple of more examples, right, specifically on nested classes. Okay, so if you like this video, students, do like it, share it, and we will have couple of more examples in coming in my next video. Bye till then.